Hey guys, Philip Liebel here with Primitive Wilderness Survival, and today I want to share a really special video to me, and that is the video from my very first bison hunt. Now, ever since I first got into primitive archery, I knew that a bison hunt with a stone point was a dream of mine. It had been a bucket list item for a long time, and about 4 years ago I went ahead and pulled the trigger and decided to make that happen. Now, for this hunt, I started preparing months in advance. I made a brand new bow specifically for this hunt, and it was a short Cherokee style bow. I only draw about 20 inches, so I had to make a really short bow so I could get as much speed from that bow as I could with that short 20-inch draw. Now, after making this bow, and this was the fastest bow I ever made. When I say fastest, I mean the amount of time I spent on it. It only took me about 4 hours from start to finish to make this bow, which is just crazy. But everything went together really smoothly. It just wanted to be a bow, and it worked out great. But after I finished that bow, I shot it through the chronograph, and I wasn't quite happy enough with the speed. I'd never hunted a bison with a stone point and a primitive bow before, so I wanted to have every benefit I could. So I went ahead and went back and I flipped the tips on this. So it's not quite a recurve, but I kind of bent those tips out a little bit more just to give this bow a little more speed. Shot it through the chronograph again, and I was really happy with the speed I was getting with the arrows that I'd made for this hunt. So every day I would go out and I had several bales of hay set up, and I'd basically taken spray paint and spray painted the outline of a bison on there, and I would shoot that thing every day. I would start at 10 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards, 25 yards, 30 yards, all the way back to about 35 yards, just in case I couldn't get in close to this bison. And like I said, this was months in advance. I started probably 6 months to a year before the hunt, just shooting every single day. And I was so dedicated to this hunt that I'm supposed to wear glasses. So I actually went and got contacts, because when I would shoot with my glasses, I would end up hitting my lenses. So I went and got contacts specifically for this hunt so that I could see the target better from 35 to 40 yards. Once I got back to that distance, I couldn't see the vitals as well as I would like to, and that would throw me off, a couple inches. So I was so dedicated, I went and got contacts. And again, I was shooting every single day. So finally, the day or the week of the hunt comes around, and my buddy Ryan Gill from Hunt Primitive flew down. He stayed with me for about a week. He filmed the whole thing. Now, a little backstory on the actual hunt itself. Once we got to the location where we're going to hunt this bison, it turns out that they were actually really hard to get onto, to find, to locate, and to get close to. So we spent the first half of the day just trying to locate these bison. And once we finally did locate some bison, we would get about 100 yards away. They would see us and they would be gone. And then we would finally track them down, find them again, maybe 100 yards or so. They would see us and they'd be gone. And we kept this up until about lunchtime, at which point the guy that was helping guide us said, maybe we should just put you up in a tree stand, put some hay out, put some food, try to bait them in, and go that route. And I was really adamant. I told him, I really want to spot and stalk these. I don't want to bait them. I don't want to, sit in a stand and have them come in. I would really like to do it, the hard way, which is spot and stalk them. And as we're sitting there discussing this, the bison, which we had spooked off, had ran up and they'd gone around this big water source, this big pond, and we thought they were gone, but they had gone around this big pond and were actually coming back towards our direction, or towards the direction where we were at. They didn't know we were in that location, and we're coming back that way. So we're discussing the next steps on what we want to do, and I look up and I see the bison in the distance heading towards us. So we quickly get back behind some trees, get off the trail, and hide. And by the time I got set up, the bison was already, 15, 20 yards, about to step in front of the tree I was hiding in. So I'm behind this tree, just shaking like crazy. Like it was a rush. There was no time to get prepared. Ryan barely got the camera rolling, and several, back behind me in some other trees. The guide was heading off somewhere else, but he barely got the camera rolling. About the time that bison steps out, and the second that bison saw me, I was releasing an arrow. So we hit the bison. I thought the shot was a little bit far back, we reviewed the video footage, and I was a little worried. It was a little bit high and a little far back. So we gave it about 45 minutes to an hour. We started blood trailing it. There wasn't much blood coming from the shot, but it was dripping some blood from its nose. So it was really hard to blood trail, but we blood trailed it for a while, about 200 yards to be exact, and we finally located the bison, and it was laying down back behind some junipers, and we're sitting there, we're watching it, and every once in a while it would start coughing, and it was coughing up blood, and I knew at that point that I most likely had a lung shot, and that this bison was going to expire, you know, fairly quickly. So we kind of backed off, gave it another 15 minutes, and about, you know, when we finally decided to sneak back in, we did locate the bison, and it had expired at that point. So about an hour after the shot, the bison was down, which sounds really terrible, but bison are incredibly tough creatures. So the bison was actually shot with this point, this arrow. It's a really small point, if you can't tell, you know, about the size, about the width of my finger. And we got 17 inches of penetration. So this arrow went 17 inches in, went through the ribs, all the way through the bison, hit the ribs on the other side, and then as the bison was running around, it broke off, and this was what was left inside the bison. We got about 17 inches of penetration, and this bison was taken out with one arrow. So in my mind, it was a great success, and it's a story and a hunt that I'll never forget. So anyway, enough talking. You guys enjoy the video, and let me know what you think. So at this point, we had spotted the bison, but they had also spotted us and it spooked. So they took off running down a clear-cut pathway, and we decided to try to use the cover of these juniper trees to sneak around and get in close, or preferably cut them off if we could. That way they would come by within 10 or 15 yards in front of us and we could get our shot. As we continue moving through the brush, periodically I could see the bison's hooves from underneath the juniper trees. So I started to prepare, get an arrow ready, and hopefully get ready to get in close enough to make it happen.
Don't spook it hard. We spotted it standing right here, blood trailed it, didn't go very far thus far, just a couple hundred yards. Remember, this is a big animal. So one shot with a small point like that, it's in the lungs. You can see very, very frothy blood, and it's sprayed out here well, it's coughed it. So, I mean, this is been shot with just a little bow, Lips bows, upper 50s or 60 pounds, and got good penetration into the lung. So I mean, this is a dead bison without a doubt. Right now it's been about an hour since he shot it, so we don't know where it is quite yet, but we're just being patient. That's the important part with all of this. is you just don't push it. It's a big animal, but it's wounded well. It's mortally wounded, and it's probably already expired. But we just go slow. Oh, he's right there. She's right there. I think she's down. Looks like a great shot. I think so too. Yeah. Congratulations, buddy. One arrow, one arrow. Just be cautious. Make sure she is 100% done. Remember, that's a big animal. It can conjure some. That can conjure some strength. So be careful. Just watch for eyes and ear twitching. Hey.
Alright, so we're able to get it done with one arrow off a little short Osage bow, about 45 inches. It's pulling 60 pounds at a 20-inch draw, which I was a little concerned about my short draw length, that it would be a little bit of a handicap. But we were actually able to get it done with one arrow. She went down in less than an hour, and I'm super excited. I couldn't be happier. I was a little worried about the shot placement at first. I thought it was a little far back and maybe a hair high, but it was perfect. So couldn't have worked out any better. Gonna be lots of food on the table and a beautiful trophy.
Yeah, it's a hell of a job, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, really proud to see you do it. One arrow and penetrated good, little tiny points, just like we thought. And thanks for letting me come along and record all this data from this project too.
Appreciate you coming out, having some expert advice, and just a good friend along. So
yeah, it's a heck of a time.
It.
Yep.